Hope y'all doing marvelous as always. Y'all miss these whiteboard sessions? Probably not, right? Well, hey, unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, we got to get back to the whiteboard. You know, I gave y'all a lot of special sessions. You know, I wanted to give y'all a break. And I think, you know, now that kids is, you know, going back to school, you know, I want to say it's pretty fitting that we bring back a whiteboard session. But this one is going to be a little different than, you know, the sessions that I've been doing in the past. So I want to do a comparison, right? And the comparison I want to do is price as well as, you know, overall macros. So I'm going to be going over the calorie count, you know, as well as the proteins, fats, and carbs. One of these meals is going to be this one here. That's going to go over the sodium count, you know, a little added in, you know, a little addition, you know, and y'all will see why in a minute. I want to go ahead and start with, first what I did was I picked 3 different, you know, meals, right? I got 3 fast food meals on this side, and then on this side over here, that's 3 of my home cooked meals, right? But what I want to do here is, you know, go over a price and a calorie count comparison as well as the macro. So we're going to start with the first one, right? Now there's just a little bit of math in here, so try to bear with me, right? First one, we got McDonald's, the Big Mac meal, right? Which is, you know, it's pretty common, right? A lot of people get a Big Mac meal, a medium size combo, what have you. That's typical, that's standard pretty much for McDonald's meals. So I got that, and I want to compare that with my home cooked meal being the burgers and fries, right? Nothing special, as you can see in this picture, but you know, it's I want to compare these two and the price and the calorie count. So on the board, I was able to write the price count, but I actually had to jot down some notes on my, you know, for the calorie count. Obviously, I wasn't able to fit everything on this board, so kind of had to, you know, type stuff up, print it out, and I got paper with me. Keep in mind, right, some of these figures is based on where I live, okay? So obviously the state taxes and local taxes and all that stuff, restaurant prepared food tax, that's gonna be different, you know, depending on where it is you live. But where I live, which is here in Virginia, okay, the specific city I live in, you know, there's a 6% state tax for, you know, prepared, when you go to a restaurant or what have you, especially fast food, there's a 6% state tax that's involved, as well as another 6% prepared food tax. What you're looking at is a total of 12%. So that's why I wrote this here, because that's gonna factor in my math, right? So to go over the Big Mac meal, a Big Mac meal here where I live is $9.49 before taxes. So when you go ahead and do the math and you add that, or rather you multiply the 12% to the $9.49, this is what you get, 1.1388. But then you'll take that and add it to the $9.49, and that's how you get your total after tax. So after tax here, a Big Mac costs about $10.63. Now here's my meal over here, right? Now my meal is the burgers and fries. 2 Morningstar veggie burgers, the Gardein veggie burgers. I have pepper jack cheese on both of these burgers, as well as, of course, you can see sliced tomatoes and some fries that were cut down from 1 potato, right? 1 whole russet potato, about a medium-sized potato. So here's everything that I wrote down here, you know, how much everything costs. The place I chose to use was Walmart, right? So these are all Walmart prices of every item that you see under my meals in these columns. So for the pepper jack cheese, right, the Great Value brand, which is Walmart brand, $1.97. 1 potato at Walmart is 83 cents. A tomato, $1.27. You know, about a medium-sized tomato is what was used in that picture, cut down into slices. A pack of 4 Morningstar Veggie Gardein burgers is about $4.58. And then there's a 1% tax. Now, our current governor, okay, for the state of Virginia, when it comes to groceries, the grocery tax was effectively eliminated. When you go to buy groceries in the store, you only pay a 1% sales tax. So that 1% state tax, or just the 1% tax, I should say in general, is what's gonna factor into the math that I have on that side. All that equals $8.65. Times that by 1%, right? And then you get 0.0865, add that to the 865, and you'll get your total after taxes, which is 874. So what I had here, I went ahead and circled those in red, and on this side of the board, as you can see, I wrote the difference. So the difference with the top meal, the Big Mac meal, and my burgers and fries is $1.32. It depends on what it is you get, right? Because now we're in an era where, see, it used to be that fast food costs more than the healthy stuff, and now healthy stuff is, you know, it's getting to the point where it's like, you know, along the same lines. You know, obviously with inflation, tariffs, you know, things like that, issues with farming, right, for vegetables and fruits and whatnot. Us as the consumers are the ones that usually suffer. So raised prices, you know, unfortunately is applied to healthy foods too, healthy options. But at that point, you would just have to weigh, like, how bad do you really want it? If you have goals in mind, right, weight loss or dropping fat percentage or, you know, what have you, eating clean, you have to weigh that against how badly you want to meet your goals and maintain it. I want to go over the macros, right? This is straight from McDonald's website, okay? 1,170 calories. It's a whole lot in a meal. So I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a lot in one meal. The fat is about 49 grams total. Carbs is 158 grams. Jesus Christ. And the protein is 30 grams. Now for my burger and fries meals, you can see the difference, right? It's a big difference. Calories is 472. Fat is 22 grams. Carbs 65 grams. And the protein is 32 grams. So overall, you're looking at less fat, less carbs, and just about 2 grams more protein, and overall a lot less calories. You see, this right here is a testament to why it's better to make your own stuff at home than to always go out and get things. But here's the breakdown, right, of those calories for my meal. As you can see in the same photo, right, that I have up on screen, the pepper jack cheese, and I wrote ×2 because in the picture that I put up here, I made 2 burgers. So that's 2 burgers, 2 slices of cheese, still 1 tomato just cut down into slices and being able to be split between both burgers. So we have here pepper jack cheese, right? The calories total is 140, which means there's 70 in 1 slice of cheese. Obviously, I had to multiply it by 2 because I used 2. So that's what you see here. The fat in those pepper jack cheeses is about 16 grams total, 8 grams protein and no carbs at all. So Morningstar Garden veggie burgers though, you have 200 calories, 6 grams of fat, 34 grams of carbs, and that is a star next to it, right? There's an asterisk. And if you look at the bottom of that table, the asterisk means it includes fiber as part of the carbs makeup. So that 34 grams, it's not just 34 grams of straight carbs. Some of that 34 grams, I want to say between 8 to 10 grams. 8 to 10 grams of that 34 is made up of fiber. And then you got 20 grams protein. Now the russet potato, 110 calories, just 1 potato. No fat, because potatoes don't really carry fat. But it does carry carbs, right? 26 grams and 3 grams of protein. And the tomato, no fat, 22 calories, 5 grams of carbs, 1 gram of protein. You do save money, you know what I'm saying, in this example. The second example, my meal is gonna cost just a little bit more than the fast food meal I wrote. I decided to jot down a meal that I always used to get. Not a whole lot, maybe like every other week or so I would go out and get this meal. The chicken teriyaki meal from Sarku, Japan. And in combination, I have my own homemade chicken bowl. It consists of rice, right, jasmine, and it consists of different veggies, which I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna give a breakdown of that, and chicken, cut into, dices. So, starting with the Sarku, Japan, right, there's 2 options that most people get. So we're still gonna keep in mind the 12% sales tax, right? Base price for chicken teriyaki, meal is $11.89, okay? So, many people will get fried rice. Okay, you can get white rice, which does not cost extra, but most people get fried rice when they go get chicken teriyaki. To get fried rice though at Sarku, Japan is an extra 69 cents. And some people will get extra chicken, which is an extra $2.89. Now that's this side. On this side over here, okay, you have, I have 2 different figures, right? One figure is just basic chicken teriyaki with, white rice and no extra chicken, okay? So it uses just the $11.89 base price. But the other figure here, it's a little jumble, but bear with me. This first one, $11.89 plus the $0.69 plus the $2.89, okay? That's gonna be $15.47. So basically, this right here, this figure, this is gonna be your figure if you decide to get fried rice and extra chicken. This figure is if you just get fried rice. So if you get your chicken teriyaki with just fried rice, no extra chicken, that's gonna be $12.58. So now we have 2 different figures. We got $12.58 and we got $15.47. $15.47 is over here on this side. Times that by 0.12, right, 12%. That's gonna be 1.8564, and you're gonna add that to 1547. That's gonna give you an after-tax total of about $17.33. Fried rice and extra chicken, that's what this is. And also, now we go to this figure, $12.58, again, times 12% is 1.5096, plus 12.58, right? The original price, it's gonna give you $14.09 after taxes. This is just for the fried rice only option. Now we go to my meal, okay? In my meal, in my chicken bowl, so we have, and again, still using Walmart for these items, my hot jasmine rice, chicken breast, right? That's thin sliced Purdue brand, zucchini. I also have red, orange, and yellow peppers, right? It was a pack of 3, you get 1 each color. And then spinach from a 10-ounce bag. It's gonna be $16.96. Multiply by 1%, and then add that 1% total to the $16.96, you get $17.13 after taxes. And this right here, this is the difference between these two, right? $3.07. So to get extra chicken and fried rice is an extra $3.07 after taxes. But over here, you're looking at two different differences, basically. 73 cents if you decide to get the fried rice and extra chicken, right? That's 73 cents more than my meal that you see, right? My chicken bowl. Or if you decide to just get the fried rice only option, right? My meal costs about $3.80 more than the, fried rice only option, chicken teriyaki from Sarku. If you decide to get fried rice only, you may think, oh man, well, I could save $3.80 and just go get this and not have to worry about making my own chicken bowl. Well, yeah, let me go ahead and stop you there, because here's the next thing, right? The calorie count and the macro count. There was one item that I had to add in here. I had to add in a sodium count. Again, straight from Sarku's website, okay? The calories in the chicken teriyaki meal is 640 with 24 grams of fat, 79 grams of carbs, 28 grams of protein. Take a look at that sodium count, y'all. That is 870 milligrams. I believe it was session 103C that talked about major minerals, which sodium is. You're allowed a recommended dietary allowance of 1,500 milligrams per day. There is an upper limit though of 2,300. That's the amount that you can consume, 2,300, before you have to completely stop. Because you get more than 2,300, now you're looking at excess sodium. Your body's gonna retain more water to try to counterbalance the amount of sodium that's in the system. It's gonna try to retain as much water as possible to dilute that excess sodium. And when your body retains water, that's how you gain weight. That's why excess sodium is bad for you. Not to mention hypertension, which I also have a whiteboard session on as well. 870 milligrams, and that's just in one meal, y'all. That's just in one. You may have other meals that you need to get to throughout the day. Depending on what you have, you can easily, surpass 1,500 milligrams, which is the recommended daily allowance or recommended dietary allowance, or RDA for short. That's crazy. One of the reasons I kind of stopped going, as much, because I'll get this like every now and again, once in a blue moon. But if you ever notice, right, when they make the chicken, right, the chicken of course is raw, and they put it on a flat top grill, they'll take teriyaki sauce and they'll just pour it on, and pour after pour after pour, like they just keep packing on the teriyaki sauce on the raw chicken as it cooks on the grill. And that's packing on the sodium. And then when the chicken is done and they go set it to the side or whatever, and they put it in your bowl as you're sitting there waiting, they're gonna ask you, do you want sauce? They always ask you if you want extra sauce on top of the cooked chicken that already has loads of it since it was being cooked on the grill. That's why the sodium is so high. Over to mine, okay? My chicken bowl, the calorie count is 417. As you can see, it's it's definitely less, maybe like 100 and some change, calories less, but still, it's a difference. Only a gram of fat, right? Because the gram of fat comes from the chicken breast. Chicken breast doesn't really carry, it's the leanest, cut of chicken, so it doesn't come from, there's not a whole lot of fat in chicken breast. 36 grams of carbs, right? And that's a combination of, maybe some of these veggies, not a whole lot, but mainly the rice. Then you have protein, 28 grams. And the protein, it's in the breakdown anyway underneath, right? But the 28 grams of protein comes from a combination of the jasmine rice and the chicken breast. The chicken breast carries about 25 grams and the rice carries about 3 grams. It's not much. And then you have 75 milligrams of sodium, which all comes from the chicken breast. And before y'all ask, okay, before y'all ask, the seasonings that I used in my chicken bowl to create that meal prep, they don't have sodium either. If you watched my special session number 1 where I talked about the seasonings in my cabinet, in this meal prep, I use mostly Dash seasonings. Good thing about Dash is they don't have sodium. All Dash seasonings are sodium free. That 870 milligrams, that's without extra chicken. So imagine you decide to get extra chicken, right? You're getting extra sodium too. You're getting more than the 870 milligrams. Because again, the 870 you see here is, with just the regular amount of chicken they give you, no extra. So if you get extra, you're also getting extra sodium too, from all the sodium they put on the chicken in the first place. Stuff to think about. I'm gonna go ahead and get to my last one, all right? So my breakfast muffin, I'm comparing that to the McDonald's Egg McMuffin, $6.49. That's the base price. So we're gonna take that, times it by 12%, and this is what we get, 0.7788 plus 649, and we get $7.27 after taxes. Our breakfast muffin, I made 3 of them on this day, but we're only going with one, right? We're only doing a 1-to-1 comparison. Just one Egg McMuffin up against one of my breakfast muffins. This breakfast muffins consists of all of these items here. We got Thomas light multi-grain muffins, okay? And then we have 1 avocado, then we got spinach, and then we have egg whites. Now the egg whites is specifically, right, to get into details, it's the Egg Beaters brand. So it's a 16-ounce carton. And then we have American cheese. All those totals added up together gives us $12.48. Now we're gonna times that by the 1% tax, right? 0.1248 is gonna give us $12.60 after taxes. So we look at the difference here, and there is absolutely a clear difference, right? And it's kind of it's a decent one. The difference is $5.33. So my meal, my breakfast muffins cost $5.33 more. However, what I want to go into, I wanted to use this one to talk about why certain macros are not created equal. So, calories, right? 310, this is the Egg McMuffin, 310, 13 grams of fat, 30 grams carbs, 17 grams protein. This is all from McDonald's website. You can go to their website and it'll give you all the nutritional facts of all of their meals. My breakfast muffins though is, these totals again is everything added down from the table below. So the calories in my breakfast muffins is 275, 16 grams of fat, 45 grams of carbs, 15 grams of protein, okay? Now, if you can look at the breakdown, the Thomas Light multi-grain muffins only has 100 calories in it, a gram of fat, 34 grams of carbs, and as you can see, there's that asterisk again because of these 34 grams, I believe 8 grams consists of fiber. Anything that has grains in it is usually a complex carb as opposed to the simple carb, right? It takes longer to digest. Complex carbs are longer branched chains of sugars. That again is why not all carbs are created equal. The Egg McMuffin, to my knowledge, at McDonald's doesn't use any multi-grain, bread or muffins or what have you. So the carbs here are not created equally. So the fats in the Egg McMuffin, versus the ones in my breakfast muffins are also not created equally. See, avocado has what's called healthy fats. It's got what's called poly and mono unsaturated fats. Healthy fats help lower your LDL cholesterol and raise your HDL, okay? They have what's called omega-3 fatty acids. So the fat in my breakfast muffins, it's not created equal either, okay? And also, the Egg McMuffin doesn't use egg whites. McDonald's used to have an option though for an egg white Egg McMuffin, but they took that away. They took that off the menu years ago, if I remember right. My breakfast muffins, however, uses egg whites. So there's no yolk in it, which means, less cholesterol. For those of y'all that deal with cholesterol like me, deal with high levels of cholesterol. I can't eat egg yolks, right? I don't chance that. So that means the fat is not created equal either. Calories are lower. Now, the fat is a little bit higher in my meal. The carbs is higher in my meal. And the protein is just a little less in my meal, but not by much. 2 grams is really not gonna kill you, but it's not a whole lot. But again, I wanted to use this example to show you that the fats and carbs in these meals are not created equal. The carbs in my breakfast muffins are cleaner than the Egg McMuffins. So that's pretty much gonna conclude this video, y'all. It's more people, you'll hear people say it's more expensive now to go get healthy stuff than to go get fast food, and it depends on the case. There are certain items, some people are specific with name brands, like with cheese. Some people like to get Kraft, okay? Some people like to get Sharp. But you don't really need to get those name brands. They tend to cost more. You can be okay with just the store value, whatever the store brand stuff is. Obviously, if you get name brand stuff, you're gonna pay a little bit more. But, for the most part here, I gave you these examples because I wanted to show, one here, there's a clear difference as well as, and the difference all the way around, right? There's a difference in price. Even though $1.32 might not seem like much to you, the calorie count definitely is a big difference. I mean, you're talking $11.70 versus, what was it, like $4.72, I think, in my meal, and the burgers and fries that I cooked. And look, the burgers and fries, right, that was the potato that I took. I just cut that up in the fries, seasoned it, I didn't use any oils. I used the avocado oil, avocado spray is what it's called. It's a cooking spray. That's all I used in there, and I seasoned it. I threw it in my air fryer, right? Got fries. That's it. I mean, Like when you go to versus McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever other, fast food, their fries is dipped heavily in grease. And it's heavily salted. Whereas when you make fries at home from a potato, you can use whatever seasonings you want, right? My dash seasonings don't have salt in it, so I don't have to worry about that. And it's still flavorful. It still tastes good. The second example was mainly to show that, okay, yeah, mine may cost a little bit more or a little less depending on which one of these options you get. But no matter what you do, this meal has a lot of sodium. Even though sodium is like it's one of our body's main electrolytes, the other being potassium, you still don't want that imbalance. As of this video, to my knowledge, there is no disadvantage to having excess potassium in your body. There's no like toxicity symptoms or toxicity diseases or anything like that. But for sodium, there definitely is. And of course, the third example, I want to show an example where, my meal costs more than the meal I chose, but the macros aren't created equally. Except for protein, like I said, protein is protein, but carbs and fats specifically. So even though mine costs more, you get more energy and you get the right type of energy. Anything, whole grain usually scores low on the glycemic index and has a lower glycemic load. If you happen to deal with, diabetes and you're trying to watch your blood sugar and glucose, this will help you more than that. Let me just say, the Egg McMuffin isn't really terrible. It's not a terrible meal to eat. You just have to keep in mind and weigh, what it is that you're really looking for if you have goals. Spinach, it's a dark green leafy vegetable, which is good for vitamin K, right? Vitamin K is where you get green leafy vegetables, you get vitamin K from those, which helps with blood clotting. You get micronutrients out of, besides just the macros, you get micronutrients out of my meals. You get certain minerals and you get certain vitamins that you won't get in this one. Hopefully this was very thought-provoking for you. I'm not saying you can't, splurge like every now and again, treat yourself. Definitely do that. Like I said, everything in moderation. You still want to make sure that you have, when you have goals, you want to make sure that you have what's called SMART goals, right? In SMART, SMART, each letter stands for something. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been session number 114. Can't believe it. Made so many sessions over the past year. And here we are back with the whiteboard. If you did like this though, definitely, give it a like, right? Give it a thumbs up, right? Push me in the algorithm, all that. Don't cost you nothing, so make sure y'all do that. Any questions, concerns, hit the comment section. I do check them periodically. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely give me a subscribe. But thank y'all very much. This is gonna conclude this video. I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all day, whatever time it is for you, where you're watching this or what have you. And y'all take care. I'll see y'all on the next one.